Hadn't the soldiers taken their bait, riding away from the protection of the fort in the greatest numbers ever? Hadn't the soldiers pursued the decoys to this point, a single ridgeline away from the carefully selected field of battle? But now the soldiers halted. Did they sense the trap beyond? As his mind raced, one lesson from the past 5 months of fighting surged to the fore. His enemy must not be allowed to think, only to react. Raising his war club above his head and filling the valley with his war cry, Crazy Horse charged toward the soldiers' line, the other decoys instantly joining him on both flanks. Crazy Horse looked toward his enemy as the decoys quickly closed the distance that separated the opposing sides. He had fought the soldiers enough times that he recognized some of the officers by their horses, certainly the one who rode the big white stallion. He saw the officer studying them intently before yelling out a command. The horse soldiers fired a volley, though the decoys were still more than 100 yards away. Crazy Horse could hear the bullets streaking around them, but he knew the decoys were beyond the soldiers' effective range. He knew that the soldiers often panicked when confronted with attack, and he knew they now would struggle to reload their clumsy single-shot rifles in their terror of the charging warriors. But then, only moments later, the horse soldiers fired again. Crazy Horse heard the scream of a horse and saw one of the Cheyenne tumble to the ground. Incredulous, he peered ahead toward the horse soldiers, now no more than 70 yards in front of them. He noticed that their rifles today were different, shorter. The soldiers kept the guns to their shoulder and used one hand to operate some sort of lever on the bottom of the rifle, then instantly fired a third round. One of the Arapaho went down. As Crazy Horse watched, the soldiers continued to pour out fire, again and again without pausing to reload, the smoke from so many rounds already thick around their line. Crazy Horse reined his horse hard, then yelled out to the others, "Fall back!" Sword Owner rode up beside him as they retreated. "When did they get those?" he shouted. Crazy Horse didn't know. He had fought the soldiers led by the officer on the white horse only days earlier, and they had no such weapons then. Now, on this day of all days, he felt his stomach constrict as if he had been kicked. The shots behind them continued as they retreated toward the ridgeline. When they were out of range, he stopped to look back, hoping to find the horse soldiers again in pursuit. A small group clustered around the officer on the white horse in animated discussion, but the line did not move. He stared up at the ridgeline, achingly close. He imagined the hidden warriors on the far side, hearing the shooting and preparing their weapons in anticipation. But for what? Have we come so close only to fail? Part 1. July 12th, 1866. Crazy Horse and the 2 other young Oglala covered the last few yards to the ridgeline on their bellies. Horses hobbled for the moment below them on the hillside. They propelled themselves forward with knees and elbows, bows across their forearms, peering through the few clumps of sage and shortgrass that could grow on the dry hilltop. Crazy Horse could smell the dryness and feel the heat rising up from the earth as it breathed beneath him. As the valley below revealed itself, his heart soared, and he forced himself to pause, scanning vigilantly from horizon to horizon, making certain he overlooked no danger. He glanced briefly to his left at Lone Bear, and his friend smiled. Crazy Horse looked to his right at Little Hawk, his brother, still a boy of 13, beaming in excitement and anticipation. Little Hawk spoke in a whisper. "Chechaka na ish Tatanka, the elk or the buffalo?" It was good to have such a choice. Crazy Horse studied the scene and considered their options. The shining mountains formed the far western horizon, their pine-covered flanks a rich green against the bleached late summer grasses of the valley. Water, pure as the heart of the earth, bubbled up from alpine fonts and spilled off the mountains, so much that this valley, the valley of the Twin Creeks, held 2 streams, each cutting a serpentine path through the low ground before eventually flowing together. Thick willow stands spread outward from the water's edge. Moose often fed in such willowy valleys, and as Crazy Horse watched, a big bull lifted his head from the water at a bend in the nearer of the 2 creeks. Crazy Horse took it as a good sign. He remembered seeing a bull moose on the day, 12 years ago, when High Backbone, his uncle, first brought him to this valley. They had come to hunt then too, and for High Backbone to teach Crazy Horse how to select the best willow.